welcome to today's broadcast on this podcast that we're shooting live. And today I'm introducing and interviewing the beautiful Nicole Less, who is absolutely passionate about Qigong. And it's another energy healing modality that I'm really excited about hearing more about. And so I'm going to share Nicole and her story and the opportunity of what Qigong is with you today. Welcome, Nicole.
Thank you so much, Katie.
Awesome. And Nicole, I've actually met you through another community that is just heart-centered and soul-driven and just beautiful. It's just everything we're all about. And when I met you, I saw you, I just knew instantly there was an energetic match, a vibration that I'm like, I want to know this woman more. And I am excited about Qigong. I first heard about Qigong actually in 2006 when I lived in a mining town in Australia. And somebody there randomly told me that there was a Qigong circle, and I didn't really go then. I thought it was a little uncomfortable for me to go at the time.
Yeah.
But I'm far more curious now these days, and I'm a lot more wiser about energy.
Random. How random that was happening. That's amazing.
Would you love to share what Qigong is first? Because I'm sure people would love to go, well, what's Qigong?
Yes. This is a question that I am asked many, many times in my day-to-day and week-to-week life. Qigong, I guess you can describe it in many ways, okay? So you could describe it as a mindful movement practice. You could describe it as a practice of presence. What it is, I guess. Siri is participating in our conversation. Excuse me. I'm like, what is Siri going to say? That's so strange. I was just going to say that Qigong, what it's often characterized as, is a sequence of movements. So the movements are precise and differentiated movements. So they can be stretches, they can be sort of rhythmic flowing movements, it could be acupressure kind of oriented. But then again, there's also the stillness, and there's also standing and something that we call sung. So sung it translates from Cantonese to mean loosening. I like to think of it as like a softening practice. So Qigong encompasses all of this.
Right. And how, I've seen some of the movements and I've checked out your website and it's beautiful and we can share that with everyone in a little while. But how does it differentiate from, say, Tai Chi or some of the other energetic movements?
Another question I get asked often, there's lots of jokes about, well, there's a couple of jokes about like, what's the difference between Qigong and Tai Chi? And people say, oh, the spelling, as in there is no difference. Right, but there is actually difference. So Tai Chi is a martial art, and Qigong is not.
Okay.
So they say that Qigong is Tai Chi, but Tai Chi is not Qigong. And what they mean by that is that being a martial art, Tai Chi is the external. It's the projection of energy externally, like Kung Fu. Right, or other types of martial arts, whereas Qigong is the internal. It's the practice of being with your Qi, or I like to often just call it your aliveness. And depending on your ability to sense and feel Qi, it's about working with the feeling of that.
Totally get it. As sharing with you off screen, off the recording, just before we started, is I've just been in Bali with my Bali Soul Sister retreat and at the Pyramids of Qi, which I've just interviewed Peter McIntosh, one of the co-founders of it. But Pyramids of Qi, it's all about the energy and the alignment to be able to practice in that space. So you're saying that we're with Qigong, it's practicing with the energy within the container of ourselves.
Yes, but also it's about connecting to our environment. I mean, I do Qigong teacher training. So I just did one this weekend, and we're talking about everything is Qigong. So the words Qigong mean energy, Qi, and Gong translates to mean training, cultivate, work, those types of words, right? There's no direct, correct translation. So if you think about Qigong is not just the practice we do for an hour or 20 minutes formally. Qigong is everything that we do. So it's how we interact energetically with the people around us, with the food that we eat, with our environment, the air that we breathe, etc.
Wow.
So you're right that it's more than that. You know, it can be more than that. Yeah.
It's the way of being.
Yes, exactly.
And it sounds so familiar to me. So would we be practicing some of those practices if we are mindful and are already in the practice of energy work? Could it be possible that we're already unconsciously doing some of the practices of Qigong without knowing?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And what might some of those be?
Just, I think, really being in presence and awareness in what you're doing. And even just, you know, presence and awareness of what's going on for you, you know, emotionally, mentally, physically. I think probably in its simplest form, you know, you're doing Qigong when you're doing that. You know, you can, I say to some of my students, you know, particularly with standing and posture, you know, you can be standing doing the dishes and you're doing Qigong. If you're aware of your vessel, how you've positioned yourself and you're present, then that is a practice of Qigong.
Wow, fantastic. Well, that lets me know I'm already Qigonging. Awesome. And
it's kind of like, you know, they talk about mindfulness and how you can be having mindful moments. Any moment of your day can be a meditation. It's kind of similar in that respect.
Fantastic. That's awesome. And so you know, would you share with us, how did you get into this? How did you first, what's your story? How did you first discover Qigong, and what obviously resonated with you that this is becoming a practice for your life to on a mission?
Yeah, right. So it's a funny story, actually. So about 7 years ago, I was doing some healing work with a shamanic healer, and I was visiting her regularly. I was having these healings regularly, and I was, you know, I was in a kind of a bit of despair in my life at that time. And one day, just randomly, she said to me, "Oh, Nicole, you should try Qigong. I think you'd really like it." And I said, "I don't know what that is." So I went home and I did a Google search and I found Lee Holden, who's quite a famous Qigong, American Qigong master. And I found some of his videos on YouTube. So I just started doing it in my living room, and that's where it all began. And I as she predicted, I liked it. So I just, you know, just kind of doing it informally and, you know, reading a little bit about it and that kind of thing. And then through the work that I was doing, I had some connections with some community centres around Melbourne. And one day I just thought, it's just like I received an idea. I just thought, maybe I could teach some Qigong at the community centres. And it was just this crazy idea. And I just sent a couple of emails, and it was so strange because the business that I had been doing was kind of struggling. And I was feeling kind of a bit disheartened with what I was doing. And as soon as I sent those emails about, you know, would you guys be interested in me sharing some Qigong, immediately people responded to me.
Wow.
Positively, like, yes, we'd love you to do that. And I was like, oh, okay.
Those synchronicities.
Yeah, and it was so strange because it was like, oh, I don't really know what I'm doing. You know, I need to now actually like look into maybe doing some formal training. So I started to teach these little, like, they were half an hour things at these community centres, and that's how it all began. And so I did a training in Australia, and then I thought I had to go to California and I had to go to Lee Holden's teacher training. So I think it was the following year, 2014, I went for my first visit to the States to do that. And I went back again the following year. And I've done lots of trainings and different things since then. And like, it's just taken me. I've just let it take me on this journey. Like, you could not have, if someone said to me, like, I used to work in real estate for 15 years. If someone said to me at the end of 2010, when I left that career, oh, you're going to be a Qigong teacher, I just would have thought they were ridiculous.
I can relate to that with my own background.
So yeah, it's been very fun and interesting, and like not easy either. You know, it's not easy to support myself financially through Qigong. It's not very well known, as you might have come across. Like a lot of people, like exactly like me, I don't know what that is. A lot of people don't know what it is.
That leads me to the next question that I was planning in my mind is, how do people come to discover Qigong with you? Like what is usually going on in their life? Is it usually from like some sort of crisis point, or is it from they need relaxation, or are they coming with proactive mindfulness or is it all of it?
It's kind of all of it. Quite a lot of my students have some kind of autoimmune or chronic illness. Excuse me. Some of them just really desperately need a way to connect to themselves and to feel more grounded and centered. Like I have a long-time student who's a carer for her elderly mother, for example. People doing their healing work find it really valuable. And then I have sort of more of my age range of students is really interesting, up to 80 years old, and then down to sort of early 20s. And some of those people are yoga teachers that are kind of looking to sort of, I guess, differentiate themselves in what they're offering to the community. There's other people that are on a kind of a spiritual journey that are seeking ways to connect to themselves and align themselves with, kind of their greater selves. So it's interesting, many different people from varied and broad demographics.
Oh, I get it. I like, when people say, in the entrepreneurial, what's your ideal client look like? I'm like,
this is a nightmare for me.
Represents so many, usually women for me. Alignment, design your life, live your dreams, clearing the energy blocks and all those sorts of things. But it sounds very similar to you, that you kind of have people who come with the intention to maybe share those practices in an entrepreneurial world, but you also have the spiritual seekers too. But either way,
exactly,
awakening.
And it's been really, I'm actually, I've been through that whole progress for, building the business of like, what's my ideal client and what's my niche and my blah, blah, blah. And it's so hard. I have not been successful in like defining my niche, because I just have so many different people that I connect to and serve. So it's tricky.
It is. And, because I teach business and marketing from the mindset point of view, I also teach strategy, but not until the very high end, right? But overall, I do the energetics of business. And one of the things that I work with, because I work with a lot of people who are spiritually awakening too, is like, I really have this sense that the paradigm is shifting. Like when we step into the calling, it attracts the right people to us. We don't even really need to really say it's this type of person. It's like we just feel it. There's no other way to put it there. Is that how?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. And actually, recently I received guidance that I should just figure. Sounds crazy. Tash Corbin would cringe to hear me say this, from heart-centered, soul-driven entrepreneurs. But the message was just let go of all that stuff and just be open to serve the people that need you. Yeah. So that's what I've kind of been doing. And I, like I said, have people just from all different areas. I do stuff in corporates as well. So people that are, in the workplace, and it's so varied. And it's really rewarding to work with so many different people.
Yeah. Yeah, and it allows opportunity for synchronicity to show. It's having a high sense of faith and just leaping into space, and just making sure the light is on and shining so that people can find you. And the way to do that is to have good qi.
Yes. well, not good or bad, but to be aligned.
Lit up.
Yeah, to be grounded is really important. Like, rather than being scattered and all up in your head and frenetic, you want to be grounded and feeling centered.
Definitely. So share some of the benefits of that. I know what those are, but and I'm sure that people would probably understand what some of the obvious ones. So say those, but also what are some of the hidden benefits of Qigong that people could value of?
the benefits, again, they're kind of varied. There's mental, emotional benefits. So just things like, as I said, feeling grounded and centered, feeling at ease, feeling connected to yourself. There's, feelings of less stress, or I don't know whether that would even be correct. Maybe just you're able to handle stress better. Um,
in this day and
which is
age,
huge. Yes.
rampant.
And also, the practice is very slow.
Hmm.
So it's almost like just through the deliberate practice of Qigong, you kind of start to slow down. And for many of my students, they've come to realize that rushing around all of the time just doesn't serve them, and doing, one of the principles of the practice is kind of like doing less.
Nice.
So they're starting to sort of go, you know what, I just stopped trying to cram every moment of my life full of stuff. And that tendency to like, oh, it's 10 minutes till I have to leave the house. Well, how many things can I do? The tendency to go, oh, might just sit down and have a cup of tea, rather than do that. So there's kind of those sorts of benefits, but there's lots of health benefits as well. So according to Chinese medicine, the premise of Chinese medicine is that when we release our tension and stress from our physical body, also our mind, and also emotionally, our energy flows. So they say in Chinese medicine, when there's a blockage or some stagnant energy in the physical body, it's expressed as a symptom of disease. So there's, people that practice Qigong typically feel more well. It has, because you're mindfully breathing, like you're rhythmically breathing, there's cardiopulmonary benefits. There's benefits for blood pressure, also circulation, lymphatic function. There's so many like physical health benefits. There's a huge list I could reel off. Generally, people feel like they have a greater immunity and a greater healing ability. So like, for example, a cold might not last as long. I know for me, my boyfriend recently got a cold, and his cold probably lasted for 4 or 5 days longer than my cold. He's actually new to Qigong, which is nice. He started practicing. But it's interesting to observe that kind of thing, like they say that our ability for wounds to heal and our immunity increases when we're a regular practitioner. Obviously, many of these benefits, you can do it once, but you're probably not going to receive many of these benefits. It's sort of the regular practice of the modality.
It's the habits, like anything, when we have these habits that successfully align us and then allow that energy to be mindful of that energy, so we can direct it and use it consciously to create, instead of destroying or repressing it in our bodies and it manifesting in illness and disease. I get it. I'm a paramedic as well for 8 years with St John Ambulance, so in Western Australia. I retired quite a while ago, but it was a great training ground for me to witness the patterns of humanity and understand. Plus, I've always been innately energetically aligned and got some gifts with that. And then bringing it all together, understanding how energy, when it's blocked, how it manifests in the different parts of the bodies it's fascinating. And it always comes back to how we are thinking. And the energy that we have, the programs that we have, those beliefs that we have, they may not even be our original, well, they're usually not even our original programs. They're downloaded when we're born, right?
Yeah.
And we adapt.
Or they're programmed throughout our early childhood.
Exactly. And we adapt and adopt all these programs that become our worldview and our beliefs, and then our limitations and our stories and our habits. And
exactly. Our subconscious.
So love hearing about how the practice of Qigong is just such another wonderful tool. It's more than that, though. It's a spiritual practice, really, isn't it?
It is. I mean, there's people that practice Qigong just for the health benefits of the practice, more, I guess, the physical health benefits. I guess some people, they practice it for the mental health aspect. It makes them feel less anxious or less depressed. Yeah. And then there's people, like myself, where this is really my journey to this is now Qigong is a spiritual practice to me. And there's this thing, this sort of Taoist philosophy of what they call the three treasures. You may or may not have heard of it, but the three treasures are our essence, our Qi, and our Shen, which means spirit. And Qigong, in a spiritual sense, is about integrating or intermingling the three treasures. So definitely can be a spiritual practice, doesn't have to be. And the other thing is, oh God, it's just gone out of my head. What I was going to say, something really great, but no, I'm sorry, gone.
And
it'll come back or not.
And so I know that you're in Melbourne and you run one-on-ones and you run classes, but is there a way for people to practice Qigong like online or find or work with you online or
yeah. So what I'm really I guess passionate about in terms of Qigong and bringing it to the world is making it accessible. So classical or traditional Qigong is kind of like a labor of love, which I'm in, right? I'm in the labor of love, but it usually takes many hours and a big commitment to learn a classical form of Qigong.
Right.
So in our modern culture, it's not that accessible, right? So what I'm sharing both, but what I'm passionate about sharing is modern Qigong. So a way to practice that's more contemporary. It doesn't require as long a time commitment because we all have such limited time and resources in our lives. We're so busy. So I have on YouTube loads now. I don't know how many. A lot of really short, what I call Qigong quickies. And they're like a 5-minute video that you can do a really short little Qigong practice in 5 minutes. And then also what I send out to my Qi Insiders every month is a longer free video that they can use to practice Qigong at home. I work with people online, like on Zoom and Messenger, doing sort of one-on-one, just like the experience of coming here to my studio, except for where, like we are now, we're electronically connected, which is amazing. It's so great.
So much possibility. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm doing stuff online, but you know, I got to say, I do really love the in-person.
Sure.
So, you know, for people here in Melbourne, obviously that's accessible. Otherwise, you know, we go with online. But yeah, I do teacher training. So I train other people how to teach Qigong, how to teach this modern and contemporary form of Qigong. I do workshops and weekly classes and, you know, all kinds of fun things.
Awesome. And I'll get you to shoot me across the different links so that when I share this, I can provide those. But just for the video, what's one of the websites? Because you've got 2 websites.
I do. So my Qi Space website is my studio. So if you're here in Melbourne, on that you'll find the offerings for what's happening in real life here. And also you'll find out about the teacher training if that's something of interest. So the Nicole Lee Qigong website, that's more like online one-on-one. And I guess it's just my bio, really, like find out about me and what I've trained in terms of my training and experience in Qigong. And if you're interested in, you know, working one-on-one with me, that's probably the place to head to.
Awesome. And just for the record, it's Nicole Lee Qigong, that's QIGONG.com.au.
That's correct.
Yeah, and the other one was, if you're in Melbourne, is qispace.com.au. And again, I'll have those links available for you.
And just to confuse you, it's CHISPACE.com.au. So, you know, just this is probably a good little point for listeners and viewers. There's 2 ways to spell Qi. There's QI, and no one knows how to say it when Qigong is spelled QI. They're like Qi Gong, they're not sure. So QI is Qi and CHI is Qi.
Fantastic. And if they, we were having a chat before, if someone wants to reach out and consider a one-on-one, as in like a discovery call with you, to mention that Katie joined the Global Butterfly and you'll give them some extra special attention.
Absolutely. So yeah, I often just talk to people, you know, have a free chat with people on Zoom or whatever platform, to let them know and kind of answer any questions about how Qigong might help them and just to understand their personal situation. So yes, please, anyone that's interested, please book that. You can book that via nicoleleqigong.com.au.
Awesome. Look, I want to thank you so much for sharing today on the interview with everybody and connecting, and for providing this amazing opportunity for people to get to learn, and myself to learn a little bit more about Qigong, connect with you more. And I'm delighted to really share more and more of these energy techniques so that people have a wonderful toolbox, if you like, of resources to be able to really raise their own consciousness, mindfulness, and really connect with themselves, most importantly.
Yes.
Find your life.
It came back to me, Katie, what I was going to say before. It just came back. And you're the catalyst, what you just said. Qigong is I often say this, is a practice of self-intimacy, right? So it's, really getting to know yourself is what happens when you become a practitioner of this modality. So, yeah.
Awesome. I think I'm going to have to invite you into my community a bit more.
That would be wonderful. I'd love that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for today.
No worries. Thanks. Nice to talk to you.